So I would love to share with you a little story. Back in 2018, I set the goal of wanting to do an Ironman. Now I'm gonna blame my sister and my brother-in-law for dragging me into this because they were doing it, and then my mom was doing it, and then our friends were doing it, so I kinda had to do it. And I'd set this goal as something I wanted to accomplish. I did all the training, I got myself there. I was so excited, and on the day of, it was the rainiest day, what felt like in Louisville's history. Our race was delayed, the communication was poor, so from the time I entered the water to the time I got off my bike, about 7 hours later, I was soaking wet because it had rained from the start until the end. So much so that they had to delay us. Once I got off that bike, I was so confident. Running is what I knew, and I knew I was gonna finish. I don't know why. It still felt terrible. It was still miserable, but I knew that I could do it. And I was all of a sudden filled with this crazy confidence. I knew I was gonna get to the end. Fast forward, and I was lucky enough to finish, and that might be the last time I ever do that. But part of the reason I love working with emerging and current leaders on building their leadership voice is helping them set better goals and understand the milestones that they need and the steps that they need to take to actually accomplish those. So here's a few strategies on how you can set better goals and actually accomplish them. First off, surrounding myself with people that had a like-minded goal was really important. I could share tips, tricks, best practices, strategies. We could be high together, we could be low together, and we could help balance each other out. It was a long process, but doing it together and being around people with a similar goal made it that much easier and made it feel like you weren't alone. Next, be smart. Many of us have heard of SMART goals, and we've heard of them because it's a very easy and concise way to make sure your goals are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. If you run your goals through this lens, you will create better goals that you can actually achieve. Write them down. Write your goals down. Get them out of your head and into the world. We're more likely to follow through on the thoughts that we bring to the world than the ones rattling around in our heads. If you're like me, you've got lots going on up there. So you really have to focus and be specific when making your goals and bring them to the world. If you're working with a group of people that have similar goals, saying them out loud, writing them down, bringing them to life matters. And it will help you stay accountable, not only to yourself, but to the people you're working with. Along the way, be sure to celebrate and adjust. There are going to be moments when things get tough. Remember why you're doing this and anchor yourself to the goal. Celebrate when you hit milestones. There's a version of you that wishes they were where you are now. Don't forget that. And if things really aren't going your way and you have to make adjustments, that's okay. That's not failure. You're just taking an extra turn on the journey to your finish line. And lastly, it's the power of yet. Those familiar with Carol Dweck's work on mindset know how powerful the word yet can be. When you use language that closes off the idea, I can't do this, your brain tells your body that you cannot do this. If you add a simple little word at the end, I can't do this yet, it allows your brain and your mind to believe that it's possible in the future. I haven't run a marathon yet. I haven't made $1 million yet. It's so different than saying, I can't run a marathon or I can't make $1 million. Why can't you? Don't forget about the power of yet. I bet you haven't checked out the link below and the 10-minute goal setting exercise to get really clear on setting better goals yet.